Hey everybody, Mungo Dark Matter here. Today I thought I'd do a basic tutorial on how to quickly and easily build terrain in the terrain editor in Roblox. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to base plate here and open up a new game. I'm going to close this window here to show you how to get into the terrain editor if you don't have the window open. If you go to view, you always have all these selections, and these are to call up these different side windows and such. And one of them is terrain editor, which is right here. So we're going to click on that. It has two tabs. One is create, which has a way to just automatically generate terrain, and the other one has edit, which has tools to edit terrain. So you can generate terrain and edit it with these tools, or you could just start and manually edit and create terrain with the edit tool. I don't recommend doing this, at least to start, because it takes a long while to do it. It gets a little bit frustrating and annoying, and it's not as fun as creating some terrain and then editing it and getting used to the tools and everything. And then later on you can go in and manually start with these tools if you want. So we're going to go to the create window right here. I'm going to show you how to generate like the full terrain on this really easily, and then go in and edit it with some tools, because I think that's a good way to start, so you can kind of get used to everything, and it's more satisfying because you have all the terrain done and you can always go back and re-edit it a little bit and such. So I'm going to go here to model, and I'm going to click on move. I'm going to select this spawner. I'm going to raise it up a little bit, and then I'm going to go over here to the properties window of the spawner location in the middle position, which is how high it is up in the sky. I'm going to move it to 220 just so that it's out of the way when we generate the terrain. So now it's up and out of the way, because we're going to generate all the terrain, and if you don't move the spawner, it will get stuck in the terrain. But if that happens, you can always go to the Explorer, select the spawner, and then move it up higher or whatever out of the way, or just delete it and create a new spawner if you want. So the first thing we're going to do is go to generate. Now the position is 0, 0, which is in the middle of the base plate. If we click over here on base plate and we scroll down in properties, you'll see that it's 2048 by 2048, and that's what we're going to change the terrain editor generate size to. So the Xbox and the Z box, we're going to make 2048. Now the height here, we can make it different heights, and depending on what height you make it is how high mountains can go and such. 32 is a very flat surface, so I'm going to make it 2000, or not 2000, 200 I mean. The other thing I'm going to do is we're going to go up to position, and the Y position, which is the up and down position, I'm going to change that to 100, which is half of 200, because if we just leave it on 0, it will move the generation block. It will be the base plate will be halfway in between it, and we don't want that. We want it to start above the base plate in this case. It just makes things simpler. You can, as you start using this, you can mess around with all of this stuff later, and I may make some more specific videos on specific things within the terrain editor, but I want to just get you started fast and get things generated fast so you can have fun messing around with the game. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is under the materials settings, I'm going to turn off caves. I don't want those generated in there. You can experiment with that on. It will generate caves underground, and some of them will come above ground and stuff. But for our purposes in this, it just simplifies it to get rid of the caves for now. The biome size is 100 by default. You can make it smaller or bigger. The smaller you make it, the more biomes you'll have on the map. The larger you make it, the less biomes you'll have on the map. So for our size, which is 2048, I'm going to make it between 300 and 400. So it's 364. Because that will give us some variety in hills and plains and mountains on this larger generated terrain section. So by default, it's plains, mountains, and hills. You could do canyons, you could do dunes, you could do lavascape, Arctic. We're not going to mess around with those. We're going to just keep these 3 basic ones, but we're going to add water to it too. So that will should give us some nice water features on here. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I've said all of that, I'm going to hit generate. And it's going to generate a new terrain for us. And the problem is right now, we're underground. And so after it finishes generating, I'm going to raise up above where the terrain is. All right, so it's generated. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to raise up above the ground. We got some hills. We didn't really, I don't see I see some water over there, I think. Yeah, there's some water. So I'm going to hit generate again, and I'm going to regenerate the whole thing. You could also hit Control-Z, get rid of what you generated, and regenerate as well. But by regenerating it again, it should give us another version, and hopefully we get... I want a few more mountains in it, or some noticeable mountains at least. Alright, I think it changed a little bit, but I'm going to hit the Control-Z and get rid of it and regenerate it again. I'm not sure if I'm liking this either, so let's hit Control-Z again. Get rid of it. Let's get rid of the hills. Let's keep the mountains and the plains and generate and see what happens. Because it looked like we were getting a lot of hills in there for some reason. So the larger you have the biome area and the more different biomes you have, it's going to... It's going to generate larger areas of biomes. So this seems like it's mostly plains now, and there's some mountains. The mountains don't look very high to me for some reason. So I'm going to get rid of the plains, and let's just generate mountains and see what happens. This looks like it's more like what I want, I think. So we got some waters and some mountains here. if we kept on generating the plains and the hills and the mountains, we might eventually get something that we liked. But I like this a little bit better. So let's go ahead and go in, run the game real quick and go inside and look around. You can see the spawn area is way up here. So I'm just going to drop down here. And I kind of like this. So like I said, you can experiment around with changing the size of the biomes, putting different biomes in. I recommend putting water in, even if you just do one biome. So it looks pretty cool. But I'm going to edit this a little bit using some of the tools we have. Like I'm going to put some sandy beaches in here. So let's stop the game. And I'm going to go over here to this to the water right here. We got kind of a rocky shore here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the terrain editor and I'm going to go to the edit part. And if we go here to paint will just change the texture basically. So we're going to go here to sand and paint over all of this. And so right away we can just kind of put a sandy beach all around here. And you can take more time on this and go in and out and see how you like it. You can go more around the water feature, so and get up close to see how it looks. So you can get as close as you want or take as much time as you want on something like this. You can always go back in and re-edit it. So we've made a sandy beach here now. So we've altered the terrain that we generated, but we have a full map really. And so I'm going to go around this and do the same thing. I'm going to get rid of this rocky area and make it more sandy. All right, so I'm going to work in this area. I think, let me look around here. Yeah, I think I'm going to work in this area here. And so the other thing that we can do is we can go here. We have different tools. One of them is flatten. And so I can adjust this a bit right here. And I'm going to flatten this area out here. And so if I were going to build like a house or something, I might want to flatten an area using the flatten tool right here. And then we're going to go back into paint. And if I use the grass tool here, it makes this grass that has these blades. There's another grass called leafy grass. And you would think the grass with the blades would be leafy grass. But the leafy grass is just regular grass. And if we use this, we get rid of the blades of grass. So if we were going to build here, for example, we would want to get rid of the leafy grass so that it didn't stick up through the floor or whatever object we had there. I'm going to go back to flatten again. And we can also, with this, we can also see the different areas that have been flattened. And so there we have an area now that's very flat. And so it would be good to build on, for example. We can also go to these other tools here. So we've done paint and flatten. We can smooth things out with this smooth tool here. If we kind of want to smooth an area out. You can also change the strength of it so that it's more or less, and the base size. So you could make it's smaller, the area that it's smoothed out, or you can make it larger. We have a sculpt tool and a draw tool. And they're really almost the same thing. We have the different brush modes, like we have spherical, and we have the different brush modes and smooth too. We can make it cubic, spherical, or cylindrical. The main difference between draw and sculpt is draw does not have a strength on it. You can change the base size though. In sculpt, you need to actually have terrain there or draw terrain for sculpt to work. It sculpts what's there. So it doesn't add anything to it. Well, I guess it does add, but it needs a mass of stuff there before, but you can adjust the strength. Now with draw or sculpt, you can subtract. So if you want to subtract an area and make it lower, take stuff away, you can do that. Or you can switch it to add and add stuff back to it. So those are a couple of tools you can mess around with. We can go down here and go to paint again and just change what the terrain is right here. Let's go with sandstone. Say we wanted some sandstone around here. So you can experiment with the different terrain textures and stuff and painting areas and changing the sizes of them or whether they pop up or go in or whatever. You could actually use the subtract to dig caves down into the ground or into the side of a hill or mountain or whatever. Let's see, what else have we not talked about? Now there's fill. Fill will basically fill an area with a particular type of material. And so we're not going to use that since we've already kind of generated the terrain, but we could create a box, for example. Just to show you. If I wanted to create a box, I could fill this with anything, including bricks, or let's just do lava real quick. If I hit apply, you can see it makes a square of this, and then I could shape this or do whatever I want with it. I'm going to just hit Control Z and get rid of that. So you can fill a large area, and this is very useful if you're manually starting manually and you're not generating stuff, or if you want to just kind of generate over another area. The other thing you could actually do with this is if we want an area that we want to build with or build on and we want it flat, this will also make a flat cube. So we could create a flat cube of grass and say apply. And so this is a leveled out area, and what we could do with this is we could start to smooth it out and blend it in. And just use the other tools to blend it in, and now you have another very flat area. And with this, you can adjust more how high up it is. In conjunction with the flatten tool, you can make sure you have a really good flat area. Once again, we're going to just undo that. And let's see, is there anything else that we need? I think we've gotten everything. Transform is to move areas of land. That's mainly useful if you're going to just kind of manually start messing around with stuff. We're not going to mess with that in here. Sea level works just like the fill, but it fills the area with water. So if you have areas and you want to raise the water level in something or fill in a hole that had with water, you can use that. Just to show you real quickly, let's find an area to go to. So let's go over here. And so say we wanted a body of water here. We can go over here and we can go to draw and we can go subtract. And we're going to just subtract area here. And you can see we can dig down as deep as we want in here. So that should be enough. So if we go to sea level here, had to go find this block. Let's move this block of sea level here. And change the size of it. Now we're going to lower it somewhat. All right, so we've lowered this block into the hole there. You can see it rising up. And so if we go create, it's going to put water in there. If we go evaporate, it takes the water away. So we created a body of water because we basically created a block of water and used it to fill the hole up. And the other thing we can do, of course, is we can select paint. We can go here with the sand. And we can put sand around the edges here. Probably let's just slate rock. Let's put rock back here. I kind of liked it rocky right here. All right, so we can do that. The other thing we can do is we can use the draw. Let's go with sand right here. I'm going to fill this in. We have subtract on, don't we? Make sure we add instead of subtract. So we can build up where that hole was right there. And then we can take smooth and smooth this off. And so that's how the tools work kind of together. Oh, let's go back to paint. Select sand here. Go back around here. Like that. And we've created we've created a little pond here. So let's go back in and play the entire game again real quickly. So now we can walk around. This is the area over here that we flattened. So we could build a house there or whatever, or get a house from the asset store and put it in there. And then let's walk over here to the little pond that we made. It's a good idea to go in and kind of walk around to see what things are like. Like I think I'd smooth this little area off here and kind of slope it a little more so we have more of a beach, and the bank isn't as high, and so the bank isn't as high around the pond. And the last thing is we'll just run down here, and this is where we made some sandy beaches. The sand really kind of adds to it by putting a sand bank around things. It looks really good, I think. Or you could just put dirt there. You can mess with the banks, in other words, just to make them look more realistic or more interesting. Whatever you want to do. So that's a basic tutorial, and that should get you started really quickly. Once you mess around with kind of terraforming things with the terrain editor in generating an entire terrain, you can go back in and you can do things manually and build it up if you want to. But this is just a quick way to build different terrains and get started. I'm Mungo Dark Matter, and this has been Dark Matters, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.